What's up, metalheads? You're listening to the only podcast that dives deep into the lore of metal. I'm Lucian, the weirdo with a beardo. With me, as always, the czar of Nar, Dustin Peters himself. How you feeling today, Dustin? I know you're kind of under the weather last week.
So we did this interview with Luna Kills that we're going to be talking about today. She was awesome, but at the very top of it, she was like, "I feel as if I'm sick, so I'm sorry about that." And then
you got sick through an interview.
I got sick through the phone, bro. Like, I don't know what happened here. No, but thank you. I'm feeling better. And again, shout out to Luna Kills. They're a great band. Yeah. And I was super stoked to be able to get to chat with them. It was just me again, so I can apologize to all you fine listeners. It was a good episode. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's always we work as a team. We work as a tandem, and like
it's always weird doing it without one of us. Yeah, I agree.
And like we've done that plenty of times. We've done plenty of interviews solo, and like, but it's just like now that we've gotten this format, I always feel like I tell them like, sorry, I usually have a co-host. I suck at this. I apologize. You're getting the worst. You know, not really. I mean, not that bad, but like it just feels weird whenever there's only one of us as opposed to two of us. But you've had to do that a few times. I've had to do that a few times.
It's just part of the game, man. It happens. I mean, I had work that day, so I couldn't go in to the studio to do that. And then I think you've had a couple with like family stuff or work or whatever, and I've covered those. And I'll say this, it's nice on one hand, because then it's just you. You know, there's no other person you gotta bounce stuff off of or kind of make sure they're on the same page. It's just you. But the bad side of that is it's just you. So like if you're fumbling up your words that day or you're not as focused as you normally are or anything, it's like very noticeable. So I think it's good for us to every once in a while do a solo interview because it hones our skills even more. You know, it forces you to think on the fly. It forces you to really do all those things without a safety net behind you. And it makes us better interviewers. So like, I'm sure you guys will see more episodes like that as, you know, as we get into next season, just because, you know, we're dudes in our 30s. Okay. We've got a finite amount of time in our lives. So you're not always going to get the both of us, but I will say I'd say 90% of our interviews have both of us in there. So I'm proud of that.
Yeah, we're a two-person business. I mean, shit. Like, what are we what are we supposed to do about it half the time? I'm super glad that we've been able to get everything that we've done. Yeah. Which, let's just do the due diligence and the housekeeping now. If you'd like to support our small little two-person business, everything we make goes directly back into making the show better, and that's Patreon. That's shit. If you find us streaming and you throw us a couple of dollars, a couple of bits, a super chat, any of that stuff that you.
I want to be up front. I did use last month's Patreon money to get a pack of Sausalitos.
You suck.
I know. Listen, times are tough, and I need
times are tough, brother.
Fix. All right, like this content ain't gonna make itself. I need the fuel. You know,
right? There's nothing wrong with that. But again, yeah, like there's website fees and domain fees and all that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna pitch a SAB story to you, but again, our Patreon. Where you search Metal Massacre for any of it. And also, again, we've had stuff in the past that has been locked behind the Patreon, like GamePod, that we're now bringing out to you into the open for free again now for forever. So we're doing everything we can to bring you as much content as possible all the time. And a couple breadcrumbs along the way, if you're a total sweetheart, as I like to say, it really helps us again. Reinvest in getting more merch, reinvest in being able to try on live shows, being able to put on contests or other things that we want to do over time and giveaways in our Discord. But we'll get to all of those down the road. Today, like I said, I was lucky enough to talk with Lotta from Luna Kills. I do just want to preface this before we go in because there's really nothing wild about, like, it's not like you guys are going to have to, like, you know, this is metal adjacent. No, it's a heavy ass band, but they're very unique. They've got a very defined and interesting sound. They're European, they're from Sweden. But moreover, it's very poppy and like it, not the artist poppy. Let me be very, very clear because they've been jumping around the metal sphere lately as well. But no, like it's very pop influenced, which is something that generally whenever we hear that is like, oh, okay. All right. I mean, do I need it? I don't really like pop music. Like this fits super, super well. And so I didn't just want to like like ride her coattails the whole time that she was, and the thing was like, I love your music. I love your music.
Right.
You do. I told her that plenty of times, and like, I stand by that. But also, now that we have, it's just you and me, and I'm not talking directly to the artist. Generally, when you hear like, there's a lot of pop elements or electronics to it. I'm like, some people that just turns that off immediately. But
right.
For me, it intrigues me because in my own personal endeavors, I've been really trying with a lot of musical projects to understand how to use like programs like Omnisphere, or how to program keys or electronics into music. Not so much with our thrash band, but a lot with the other band, and a lot on my own with a couple of the tools I have around my recording studio. And so when I hear a band that's able to encapsulate kind of like this modern sound that does a lot more like, it's almost just got like trap beats and electronics to it, an EDM feel almost, that does it in a way that is uniquely them, where it doesn't feel like they're chasing a trend. It feels like they're setting part of that trend. Like, this is going to be a standard of what you should do if you're going to go down this road. I honestly, like I said, I think this is a band that does that entirely well.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed I missed out on the interview. I got to kind of dig into a little bit of their music ahead of time. Oh, Rocco's not happy.
So you should have been there.
And it was fun and it was interesting. So I was really bummed because I had a couple questions as far as like that direction and why they went that direction and kind of what their goals were. But I am excited to kind of hear what you guys talked about. I was clipping some of the episode the other night for YouTube, and I got to like just kind of pick up a little bit. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked for this one, to be honest. Like, this is one of those bands where, listen, we can go ahead and talk to every death metal and sludge metal and European melodic metal band in the world. Sure. Eventually, the more of those we do, the more they're going to kind of seem the same. You need bands like this to break up the mix. And I think that's what they're used for. It's like bands like this remind you why you like metal, but they also might introduce you to like some other subgenre or a possibility with the genre that you maybe didn't think of before. So I think it's important to not only talk to the big flagship shows and the ones that are setting the standard, but also trendsetters. You know, like we had Salem Vex on for our Halloween episode last year.
That's right.
And that dude, such an innovator, by the way, and I still owe him a custom VHS of that movie we were talking about. I'm gonna get that to him. I'm just the VHS guy is like years behind, so just
he's living in 1994 right now.
Right, he's making VHSs. How long do you think this is gonna take?
He's a time traveling VHS salesman. What do you want?
But it's important to get those bands in there that kind of push out the demographic, because here's the thing is like someone might listen to Luna Kills, and they're not even a metal person. And they listen to that and they're like, holy shit, now I'm a metal person. Like, everyone has that moment where you're listening to a band that maybe may not be the mainstay of metal, but something different, and it gets you more into a genre. So I think it's important to highlight bands like that.
And that's interesting you put it that way too. Like, if you want to look at it in the reverse of where someone who's a metalhead looking into it might find a new band that they like, or be like, yeah, it's a little more poppy than I want it to be, so this isn't for me. Right. Or the adverse, where people that normally are never into metal, this is where they like this is where they dip their toes into like that area where, like, I know that there's like a country guy named like Hardy or something that last year he made a song that it's called like Not for the Radio or something like that. And it starts off as like a country ballad, but then it turns into straight fucking like modern metalcore for a little bit. And I
really wanted you to say like, it turns into like Squid Pisser or like grindcore noise. And I would have been like, fuck yeah, bro.
No, it gets into like really heavy, almost like Suicide Silence Breakdown kind of stuff. Like, cool. I think he did it. Obviously it's on the verge of being cringe because it is just like, look how edgy I can be and what I can do. But that's like literally the point of the song. And so I feel like it stands true. I had actually one of my clients at the gym send me this, be like, you listen to this guy? And I'm like, no, I don't listen to country very much. You know me. Why would I do that? But they're like, have you heard
listen
this?
Listen to Luke Bryan.
You like Keith Richards' brother? I mean, shit, we got no shortage of it here in Omaha. Don't get me wrong. You can head out anywhere down the road and you can go find a Rootin' Tootin' two-step bar. But like at the same time, like, no, it's not really for me. But I guess my point is this, like, that person that sent me that song from that Hardy guy that does country doesn't like heavy metal and was like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. Like, I like how they did the juxtaposition of stuff. And then like, didn't like go and look for more metal songs, but like looked for more of his stuff that had more of that edge. To tie this full circle is something that like, I think that if you're listening to the show called Metal Massacre, you're probably a metalhead, or you like gaming, or you're adjacent to us in some way that you just like our banter. But there's something that drug you in. Most people are metalheads that listen to the show. And though I would say if someone were to listen to that band first and it just was put out on there, because I think that these guys are going to blow up too. I honestly do. Like, I know I said that about a few bands, but like, there's a couple of them, Gore being one of them, which was also female fronted, funny enough. And I don't think that's the connecting piece here. I think the connecting piece is that these bands are doing something that obviously it's working with the modern trend and it's working with things that are going to sell in 2025, but they're not doing it because of that. They're doing it because that's what they're good at. And they've found the perfect time, the perfect place, and the perfect avenue to do it.
Right.
But people that are listening to pop then, who find Luna Kills, who find a band like that, and then it might drag them into more metal stuff. Also like that Poppy girl that's doing things with like Knocked Loose, I think it is.
Yeah.
So like much like skateboarding, which is another like in the 90s, metal and skateboarding and counterculture and all that stuff. Skateboarding's always had hip hop elements too, but skateboarding's like not even, it's kind of blasé now. It's just like, there's half of Instagram is skate clips. And so I don't feel like it's as taboo as it was back in the day, but that also then means that at a certain degree, that taboo-ness doesn't have the same boom like that it did, because skateboarding wasn't any bigger than like the Tony Hawk days of like the 90s to early thousands. Even though skating was huge in the 80s, trust me, I'm a skate anthology. Like I have everything from the 60s on in my head.
It was really like the yeah right girl video era that was like the biggest part of skating, and like almost round 3 and things like that. Like, yeah, dude, Good and Evil Toy Machine. Like I can just keep naming off from that era,
nailing it on the head. And so I guess like the overall point would be that they having like that same kind, it's like same thing. Metal is becoming a little bit more just people accept it. It's part of the mainstream culture, and like metalheads are not looked, we are the freak flying flag bearers, or like whatever people used to say, but like sure. But like at the same time, I don't think it's as it's when you find a band, when I say this with love, like See You Next Tuesday that we had on here, that's like pure grindcore and nastiness, or like some of the more obscure shit that's like that is just brutal the whole time.
Yeah.
Like that's generally a little bit more niche where metalheads drift to that and other people won't. But I mean, shit, like every college radio station now is going to be playing some Knocked Loose. Like because you throw that name out again. Like there's so many bands like what is it, Polyphia, the Tim Henson guy, the guy with the tappy whittly doos, the guy that's super good at the guitar. Half of that is like almost instrumental, just like flamenco guitar playing, but then with metal elements. And the girls love him because look at him, he's an anime hero. Like the guy's hot. Like, so I mean, what is not to love? I get it, but like I think that we're starting to inkle into the culture that metal is just mainstream now, but mainstream makes it sound like, oh, that's lame. Yeah, it is so still out. Weird. It is still, that's why I wanted to make that skateboarding comparison. Is that like it's still something that like a lot of folks don't understand and don't know. Yeah, Tony Hawk. Yeah, Metallica. Like, you know what I mean? Like people know those names, but they're not going to be sitting down listening to fucking name it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying. But
no, I understand. I think
a band like this really allows pop music in.
It is such a weird transition to see things you love become mainstream as you get older. Like, God, it's such a weird feeling. Like, I remember seeing System of a Down play on Saturday Night Live, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, excuse me, this song is about like saying fuck the government for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And they like bleeped out half of what they said. But the fact that System of a Down got on Saturday Night Live was just like mind blowing to me. And I think ever since that moment, for me personally, I've seen a lot more metal bands on Saturday Night Live. I've seen a lot more metal bands on the radio. Even in TV and movies, like it's become way more mainstream than I think it thought it was ever going to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's in part to like we're kind of leaning here is because of these subcultures and these subgenres and the fact that people feel so free in their expression and like, listen, I'm going to make metal, but I'm going to make metal if you know, Jim Henson from the Muppets made it. That's what it's going to remind you of. And for some reason, it's fucking awesome, and it gets more people into the genre. I say all power to it, man. I know there's a lot of gatekeepers in the genre and people that are, oh, this isn't real metal and oh, this doesn't follow the rules of this and that and the other. And I say, fuck that shit. I say, if it's heavy and it brings something new to the table, then there's always a place for it.
Dude, 1000% agree, man. Like it's something that I can't overstate, that you should like what you like and you should be into what you're into, and you should be able to have a space to do that. A lot like, not a plug, but our Discord community. Like, again, that's just a spot where a bunch of geeks and dorks who like
plug.
likes playing games, but we all have a commonality where I think there's a bunch of people in our Discord that they're like, yeah, my favorite Discord's called Metal Massacre. Like, you don't listen to metal. I'm like, yeah, but they like World of Warcraft. So,
right.
So like,
that is so true. We have a bunch of random ass
shit.
people in our Discord for different reasons, like different games we play and different stupid things. And I just think it's fun. If you guys do want to join the Discord, we don't even need to say it. The link is in the bio of our YouTube page. Go look it up. Join us for free. But yeah, no, that's a really good point. Like, it takes all shapes and sizes. What's up?
Speaking of like things that you have grown up with that you feel like are like, it's weird to watch them become mainstream. Oh, okay, yeah. Seasonal changes. Do you feel that nowadays, because I think the heydays of horror and slasher stuff was like the 80s era. Do you feel like horror's more mainstream now than it was probably back in like 70s and 90s?
Here's the thing.
I guess why?
You have to remember that like horror back in the days was the ugly stepchild of movies. And I say that because there weren't a lot of franchises back then that actually made money and made things worth it and set them up for success. It wasn't until, I want to say, like Freddy Krueger came along, where Miramax was known as the house that Freddy built, because he did so many movies for them that it just kept that company going. At least I believe it's Miramax. I could be wrong. Somebody put it in the comments. They would talk about how they'd go to conventions and they would just get the shittiest spots in the convention, or they'd go to awards banquets for movies and awards ceremonies, and they'd get like all the way back in the back left behind the cameraman tables. And that was like that forever in horror. And I think now, especially with the rise of heightened horror, like when you look at like Hereditary, Midsommar, anything Jordan Peele does, like this intellectual horror,
cerebral stuff.
Yeah, it's really made it more mainstream for everybody. And I think it has allowed people to go, okay, well, if they can make stuff that classy and still have it be horror, then all the other subgenres of horror kind of have to step it up. And I've seen it on a local level, and I've seen it on a national level, where horror just keeps taking chances and new swings. And I think it's just like metal, you know, like,
yeah,
you gotta be progressive. You have to evolve. And I mean, a movie that just popped into my head right now, it's called Final Girls. And essentially this girl, her mom was a final girl in a slasher movie. And she dies in a car accident, and she's like, oh, I miss my mom, you know, that whole thing. And then, God, I make it sound so shitty. And then she goes to a premiere, or like a movie showing of her mom's movie. And something happens at the premiere where like these 5 or 6 people get sucked inside of the slasher movie. And she's there with her mom, but her mom is like this sentient character in a movie that doesn't know it's her daughter. So the whole movie, they're trying to survive this Freddy or this Jason like slasher and get to be the final girls. And I remember seeing that movie and thinking like, holy shit, this never would have gotten made like 10, 15 years ago.
True.
And it's thinking like that I think has kept these genres and these staples alive and made them more mainstream for sure. I'll say, I think horror is less mainstream than it wants to be right now. But I think that's just because you got to look at it through the lens of like, if you're cutting someone's face open, how mainstream is that really going to get?
Yeah, that's playing to a certain area and a certain audience of people that are going to be.
Like you look at like movies like Terrifier, like the trilogy there, like that is a good example kind of to fight what I'm saying, because you got people slitting people's throats and shoving rats down their necks. And that movie made more money than most movies last year and comparatively in the budget. And it's like, does that mean it's mainstream, or does that just mean that like there's a lot of those type of people? I think it's kind of both. I think horror and metal is like, it's becoming more mainstream, but I think mainstream, the definition of that is also changing. I don't think it just means the popular vote or the majority like it. I think mainstream to me means that it's made enough noise, culture defining for sure, but it's made enough noise to where people can't ignore it.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, because it made me think about the fact that, like, if we have any older listeners, and first of all, we're not young, we're in our 30s, but like if we have somebody in here that's like, 55, 60, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? There was nothing bigger than metal in the 80s. Like that was the popular music on the radio. That was what you paid top dollar. There was no one like, Michael Jackson, sure. And like there were some huge pop artists, like that was like the pop era, but Iron Maiden was making almost just as much money, and they were doing everything they wanted to do. So like, I think that again, though, you nailed it on the head when you were saying that mainstream doesn't necessarily mean the popular vote. What it means is that I think it's like I said, culture defining. It's something that like people can start to grab onto, and it doesn't seem like, oh, you're into that? That's fucking weird. Like it might not be the most popular thing, because again, look at the Kendrick and Drake beef, and like that got all the way to the Super Bowl. Like that's rap and that's pop. But metal, even though it's sitting on like a back shelf, I would say is maybe not as popular as it was in the 80s, but that doesn't mean, like we just said, that it isn't more of, you could run into people that are metalheads, and it's like, that doesn't seem like a freak that I have to cross the street and stay away from, or like, those are the rough and tumble guys. Like, no, that's just like some fucking high schooler. Like, you know what I mean?
I think that viewpoint is very outdated, but you still find people in the world with it. I mean, like how many people,
that's that 80s
how
mentality.
many people come to our shows and they see us on stage get all fucking angry and it's like skinny guys on roids. Like we're just like fucking all over the place, screaming, throwing beer, spitting, just being blatant assholes. And then we get off stage, we go to the green room, we come out, and people like, oh, you're nice? You're not going to fucking punch me? I'm like, no, let's get a beer. Like, let's hang out, bro. Like, what was wrong? Like, it's there, but I feel like it's pageantry. Like you're not the same person you are on stage that you are off stage, and it's impossible to be that way.
This is an interesting conversation. I think that like almost justifies its whole episode maybe one time. Because
for sure.
We're doing like a thought experiment right now, because being like, yes, metal was technically bigger in the 80s, but probably more people overall are listening to it worldwide now. Yeah. Like, but also numbers don't mean popular. Just because something is popular doesn't mean it's good.
Exactly.
Like I mean, there are plenty of video games. There are plenty of albums that are like, people are like, oh, dude, have you heard this new shit? Or like, have you played this new game? And I'm like, this game sucks. Like,
I'm a pretty big believer that a person is intelligent and people are fucking stupid.
Yes.
So as soon as people start telling me to check something out, I will, because I'm like, oh, okay, I've had 6 people tell me to hit this up.
And sometimes they're right.
But I always try to put on the justification glasses, where I'm like, okay, is this actually good, or is this just what everyone likes?
Is this the clout right now?
And that's not to be a hipster, and that's not to be like, I can't like something if it's popular. No, I don't give a fuck.
I think that's an adult view.
But it's like, being popular, I think, we're not in high school anymore. Being popular doesn't fucking matter.
No, like everyone was trying to tell me Fetty Wap was good, and I know that he did a bunch of good stuff like back in his community. But then guess what? He went back to jail, and he sings like this.
I can tell you that because his name is Fetty Wap, I will never listen to him.
I know that's probably
sounds like a sexual thing, and I don't like it.
Again, I'm a hip hop dude, so I know it's over our head for half our listeners. But like, there's like, I mean, I'm not shitting on him as a person, but people are like, dude, this is a new banger from Fetty. I'm like, this sounds like my butt cheeks
Is he
flapping in the
okay?
morning. Like this isn't good.
Yeah.
But regardless, man. Yeah, no, I think this is an interesting topic to be like, what is metal nowadays, and like what are some easy comparisons we can make it to. But the overall conversation, no matter how long we make it, is going to come back to it's whatever you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And music is what you want it to be. And this band Luna Kills that we had today, which sparked this whole conversation, none of this has been backhanded stuff. And it's worse to say like, hey, if you're not into pop, give this a shot. I think that these people are really talented. I think Lotta's an amazing singer. She's jazz trained. I won't spoil the whole interview for you, but even though it might not be like my favorite thing, I showed it to my wife, who again, because it's it speaks to her. It's female fronted. She was like, "Hey, this is like really good. Like I really like this." And I was like, "Well, look, you just made 2 new fans in the middle of the United States." And
right.
Doing podcasts like this help, of course, but I think it's even if it's not for you, give things a shot. What are you waiting for? Like, what are you worried about? And I know the answer is time, because time is all we really have on this planet. It's precious, and you want to spend it doing things you want to do. But if you're curious at all, I mean, like branch out a little bit. And this band does not need qualifiers or justifications. I'm just saying, hey, we have brought someone like these bands like Gore, who I got to talk to. Which I'll bring up again because, like I said, I think that these bands are going to blow up. I think that the 30 to 40,000 listeners they have right now are going to turn into 1 million in like the next 2-3 years. The female fronted stuff may help, and whatever people want to say about that, don't be a fucking curmudgeon online.
Yeah.
But I think that the songs merit on their own, and they do have these pop and clean singing elements and stuff that, when you're looking at how extreme the juxtaposition is, because metal has always had ballads. When we're talking about the 80s, metal has always had clean singing and some stuff, some Kill Switch Engage kind of shit. But like, I think that when you have the hard juxtaposition of like almost just like really meaningful singing and like just electronic music, and then it's like it gets pushed into like the extreme portions of what metal can actually be, period. It hits people in such like a weird, like, oh, you're trying to be trendy, you're trying to do no. I think that this band in specific, Luna Kills, but also plenty of others, if you're doing it well, and you're doing it with talent, and you're doing it because this is the lane that I'm supposed to be in, and this is what I'm good at, it's going to portray itself that way. So
for sure,
I was very excited to get to talk to them. Their album Deathmatch comes out a little bit later. Everything else is embargoed, but I can tell you, I was told I can tell you the album name. There's only, as of recording this and as you guys are listening to it, there's only a few songs out there. If you search Luna Kills, there's Sugar Rush, there's Slay Your Enemies, there's a couple other songs on there, plus older songs they have, but this is their first debut long form album called Deathmatch that's coming out. Like I said, they're based out of Sweden. Lotta, their singer, she does, besides being the front woman, she does a lot of their PR and press, but all of their musicians in that band, which I don't have their names offhand, I apologize, but I didn't get to speak to them either. Wonderful guitar playing, masterful drumming. The songs are mixed and mastered really, really well. The bass is blended. I again, like, is it going to become my favorite band of all time? No, but I have nothing but good things to say about this band. And I think all of you should, especially if you do want something a little bit more electronic, a little bit something lighter, a little bit, especially like if you something you could show your girlfriend. Let's be honest. Like, you can show someone that's a little bit less of always in the vein of fucking like horns up, heavy metal headbanging. Like, this still gives that, and their live performances, they can really hang their hat on as well. So shout out to them, and thanks for coming on the show.
Well, before we kick it over to Dustin's interview, we did make you a promise. So here is the promo code for our merch website, metalmerch.net. If you go to metalmerch.net and use promo code Lemmy, all caps, Lemmy, like Lemmy from Motorhead, you'll get $10 off any order. Don't abuse it.
Please actually do abuse it.
Abuse the shit out of it. So yeah, that's gonna be a lifetime listener only exclusive. So this is the only place we're gonna promote it. We're not gonna post it. We're not gonna tell anybody else. If you listen this far into the episode, there's a treat for you. Go to metalmerch.net and use promo code Lemmy for $10 off your merch order.
Nice.
But yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah, I just figured something for the listeners, something different. Our merch store just got back on. We had a little bit of trouble with our domain and trying to get it to switch over. And it's finally up, metalmerch.net. Go check out all the cool stuff we got there and support the show. So,
yeah.
But without further ado, guys, let's kick it over to the interview.
What is going on, metalheads? Welcome back to Metal Massacre, the only podcast. It's not going to take your shit anymore, okay? I'm your Czar of Nar, and I'm running here solo today, actually, because Lucian is a little bit under the weather as well. He's busy, so they stuck me with me. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We have the wonderful Lotta from Luna Kills here today, and first of all, again, thank you so much for giving us your time. How are you? I know we're feeling great, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And yeah, like I told, I have been sick all week, so I'm not feeling that great. But it's nice to come and talk with you today.
Of course. Well, you sound great.
To hear about your co-host. I hope he's doing okay.
Oh, well, that'll mean a lot to him. You sound great. We're doing just fine. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, because you guys have an album coming out in April. They sent us a little advance along with the stuff that's already available. Congratulations, first of all. Like, this is something that I know, it's looking at your discography and being able to put out something that's closer to like 5, 6, 7 songs is never easy. So first of all, nice job. Good work.
Thank you.
Of course. And it sounds awesome. Like I love the electronics in it, but I do want to dig into all of that here in a little while. First and foremost, like I said, we've actually had quite a few European bands. We're based in the middle of the US, but our listeners always really love getting to know people. And so just kind of from the start, you don't got to start in kindergarten, but maybe like a little bit of background and like what the scene was like there and how you guys formed this band. Because it's been around for at least 5, 6 years now, it looks like.
Yeah. And we're from Finland. So in Finland, we have this like huge metal scene. Obviously, we have the most metal bands per capita, I think. There was this huge vote some time ago and Finland won. So that's a little bit knowledge of Finland. So actually me and our guitarist Samuli, we are cousins. So we have known each other from the kindergarten, I would say. And we started playing music when we were younger. And this band, it has been around for like 5, 6 years. And so it kind of went there. We knew each other because of family. And then we got to know our bass player and drummer, and we just started to make good music. We wanted to make good rock and roll music or metal music or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we really wanted to perform live. That was something why we actually formed the band to begin with, because we love live playing. And then we started make good music and people started to notice, and now we're here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I mean, like, most things are pretty straightforward, but that's interesting. That's cool. My co-host and I, we play in a band together and we've been friends for a long time. So it's really cool when you get to like work with people that the chemistry is already there. Makes it a little bit easier sometimes. So you don't have to like, just hired this guy.
You know each other, and we cannot like ever get rid of each other because we're family. So might as well do this, okay?
Might as well be on the same team. That makes sense. That's always cool. And that is, I don't know, say something I did not know. So that's pretty awesome. Looking through, just to jump into somewhere we can go from here. The latest release that it gave was called Leech, because it's kind of building the singles like a lot of people do. First of all, I'm so glad I got you today, because when we talk to a variety, sometimes we get the drummer, sometimes we get the manager, sometimes we do get the front person, which is awesome. There's obviously like a theme, and there's obviously thematics. So it's going to make it really easy for me to ask you directly, because we love to ask about the album's feel. Some people really try and pull from whatever source they can get it from and try and make a mood or a motive. And first of all, your guys' music, like I said, I love the electronics. It's something that I know that more modernly gets layered in quite a bit, but the way that you guys have been able to do that, I think doesn't feel like filler, where it does with some bands. So there's like, I just want like some strings in the like your guys' electronics and the way that it blends with the canned drum sound and guitars on top of your voice, who is huge, by the way. It's massive. You have a great voice. So,
thank you so much.
I think everything plays together to really let it shine. So mostly my question is, what would be different about this upcoming album as opposed to the things that you've done in the past albums?
That's a hard question actually.
Sorry.
I don't think we have even thought about it like it would that it would be any different from the stuff we have made before. Obviously, this is heavier stuff we've written so far, so that's going to be one thing. But also, I would say it's heavier, but I think everything we've done before is there.
Yeah, it's definitely been the whole time. Don't get me wrong. And like I said, I just think your sound maybe from a listener's perspective, maybe it'll help you. I think you're right. It has gotten heavier and it's gotten fuller. There's still all the pop elements and there's still like a lot to this, which I really enjoy. But it's always been metal. There's always been the screams, but now I feel like some of maybe the guitar work and stuff like that is catching up to highlight a little bit more. I guess we could.
Yeah, I think we're just we're getting in a different place as songwriters. Maybe it has to do with that because we've always loved to produce our music, and now we really paid attention. Like you said, the electronic stuff and everything has kind of been woven into the music, so that has been like huge part of the writing that we have been like putting time and effort into. Maybe it's because of that, but it's really hard to say because we are constantly writing music. So I think it's only just the evolution of us being songwriters.
That's good though. That's awesome. I mean, it sounds because again, there is a library to pull from, but it's not like we talked to a band that like they started in like the early '90s, and so then when I asked that question to those guys, it's like, well, yeah, we're lengths from where we were, but I think there's something solid to having a consistent sound like you guys have had as well. There's not too much different. I did ask a hard question up front. I apologize.
This was
not going to here to grill you. We're here to have fun, but I really, like I said, I don't want to leak anything because we, as this is going to be put out for our listeners, it'll still be a couple weeks away from the album itself. But I was lucky enough to get in advance, and I think that the whole album itself really pulls together very well with all the 7 songs. I found myself able to listen to every single one of them, and not just because I have to, but because I just turned it on and let it flow. And I think there's a really good flow to this album. Being as someone who wrote the lyrics and the content, there's a theme that everyone sends in the PR, those kind of like some digging into the feelings of the world, the dystopianness of kind of how we're at today. And did you have a set plan in mind at all by any means when you're putting these songs together and maybe how they'd be displayed in the album? Because they all work really well as singles.
Yeah, I actually didn't. If you're like asking, did I have like concept in mind when we were like writing the songs in a lyrical sense? It's just my like flow of thinking and my stream of consciousness, I would say.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we were putting the tracks together, we were thinking about how they would play out in the album. But no, it's all pulled from like the present we were living when we were making the songs. So.
Oh yeah, no, that makes total sense. I mean, I think that I like to ask that question whenever I do have the singer. And that's just because a lot of people, they really like to get in the mechanics of like, I'm tying the strings and I'm telling a story. It's going to come back to sometimes we're just writing heavy ass music.
So short.
Very true. And I'm not a lyricist by any means. I am no poet. So like, honestly, half the music we've ever written is about space Vikings or some bullshit. So it's like,
obviously I have the themes I'm talking about. They are something I have lived through and felt, and that's something that's important to me to write about the things I know. But there were not like specific themes or things I really wanted to write. It was just what I was feeling, if it makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I mean, that's going to give you the most authentic thing that you're doing at the time when you're writing the music. That makes a lot of sense. Looking through some of these tracks in specific as well, just to keep it on the music for now. You guys have a really cool aesthetic. The washed out colors, how you guys are building your albums, the artistry, your Instagram page, it all seems to be building. Whether you think you had a theme or not, I see the strings connecting, which is really neat. Yeah, good branding. So like I said, and the titles of the songs, all of that stuff, it does have a very besides direct to the point, it is heavy. There's a lot of clean singing, which I know that you have had a background in, obviously. How did you start getting yourself from like the jazz kind of background and like the wide vocal range? Besides, I mean, I'm sure having metal around and something you listen to is a real easy caveat right into it. But how did you get yourself into wanting to make a heavy music band?
Well, like you said, and like I said, in Finland we have so many metal bands, and I have grown up with metal music, and I love every kind of music. I have always been a fan of different sort of bands and artists, but I've always wanted to make like music with more edge and like aggressive music, and I love the aspect of performing aggressive music. But when I was younger, I didn't know how to scream or be more like edgy when singing. And I actually tried it out when I was like 15, and it was horrible experience for everybody who heard it. And I swore to myself I would never, ever, ever scream again because I was so offended by myself. But then actually, like a couple of years ago, I thought that one of our singles could like use some of that screaminess and like aggression. And I just opened up YouTube and started like learning how to scream. And I learned that day the basics of right screaming. And then I was like, okay, let's fucking go. We're going to make more heavy music now. But I've always wanted to be in a heavier band and perform metal music because it's just so, you know, it's so therapeutic to be on stage and get it all off your like head and just let loose.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. That's the reason that, not to make it about me, this isn't about me, it's about you. But I agree. Like, I started making music obviously because, I mean, like my dad and my parents and people around me like heavy music, but I wanted to, after I watched my first show, I think it was a punk band, the Dropkick Murphys. Yeah, I think that was like one of the first big. I'm going to a stadium and I'm like early in high school and I'm on my own, and that was like, oh, I want to do that shit. That looks so much fun, and they made people feel that way. To hang your hat on being able to do a live performance would be, I think, a really good reason to want to get into live music, and that's what I try and do. Like I said, I am really not the best songwriter. I'm relying a lot on my friends and my homies to be able. They're much smarter than I am. I can go out there and shake my head around. But
that's the great part about being in a band. You have all of your friends there, and everybody is supporting everybody on the stage and everything. So you don't have to be alone.
Well, that is true. I do feel that way. Maybe about like if I mean, you're not usually headbanging to like a comedian, but I just couldn't imagine being like if it was just me up there, I don't know. Maybe I'd feel a little conscious about it, but if I got all the buddies around me, I don't mind acting like an idiot for everyone's approval. So again, looking at some of the songs, you've had singles since 22 and beyond, and now where we're at, you guys are going to be heading out on a tour across pretty much, it looks like a pretty decent amount of Europe. Do you want to tell me a little bit if you have anything about the tour, what you're looking forward to, places you have or haven't played yet already?
Well, we haven't actually been in the most of the cities or countries where we are playing, so we are definitely looking forward the whole tour actually.
Awesome.
And I think it's just so wonderful to get this opportunity to play live in so many places to so many new people who might be coming to see us, and it's really nice to have this opportunity to do that.
Yeah, no, it looks very cool. We have plenty of European listeners, and so everybody, first of all, they're going out on tour. As far as I'm aware, it says on April 4th, and then they're kind of working their way out and around. So make sure you catch them. You can be getting that all the way through May. And the album itself, I think it said it was coming out on about the same day, actually. So you're going to be touring with that album. That's awesome. That probably feels pretty good. Are you going to try? Do you guys think you're going to try to play like the whole album front to back, or are you going to put in a smattering of everything you have?
Wow, we haven't even got that far in the planning phase yet. But we have like the album release show in Finland. It's 5th of April, and we're planning to play the whole album from the back that day. But we are not sure about the tour yet. We have to still figure out how long our set list is going to be anyway. So I cannot promise anything yet, but
that's okay. Like I said, I mean, they're all worth listening to. So whatever you put out there, I'm sure they're going to have fun if you're putting on the show you said you're gonna. So I believe you. So before we go any further, because again, I could talk about some of the music in specific for hours, but people, like I said at the top, when we were briefing ourselves in, people really love to know who we're talking to and what they're doing. And we kind of went over some of that, but from the very beginning, I would say that listening to you guys' music, it puts me in a certain mood, which is I'm having fun. Like I'm having a good time while I'm doing this. And so it's heavy. And I think that's a thing that people always think, oh, metal's all angry and shitty the whole time and punch people. Yeah. Okay. Do that. But also it puts me in like a good mood. And so when you, like I said, we're writing all of your songs, it was just kind of what was coming up to your head then. So I want to know what's in your head normally when you're not making music. What are you into doing? What do you like to do when you're not focused in the studio?
Well, I'm a huge gamer, so I play video games a lot.
You fit right in.
Yeah. And that's actually all I do, if I'm being honest. I make music, I play video games, and then I work. I'm videographer and photographer, so and I make like all of our graphic, the social media posts and album covers and everything. So that's basically my life. I do music, then I do our visual stuff, and then I play video games.
Nothing wrong with that. Hey, Lucian, our other guy who isn't here today, he's a big gamer. And so am I. Like that is my forte as well. But like if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm gaming. And but we're so freaking opposite. Like we cannot find a game that we actually want to play together, even when we have our little Discord stuff. Because he likes these like big RPG style, like he wants to world sim. He wants to live there. And I want to beat something's ass. So, like, what kind of game? Like, what was your favorite game that you've been playing? This like, what's the time dump that you've been putting like hours into lately?
Well, I have two like huge games, like those kind of games, and the first one is Fallout 4. That's a game I've played like most in my whole life. And the second one is The Last of Us 2. It's my favorite game of all time. So those are two biggest.
So you like the narratives, and that makes sense. You like to be able to tell me a good story, and then also let me choose some of it here and there as well. I can dig that. Yeah, I've been putting a lot of hours. I put a lot of hours in The Last of Us 2. Very excited for the show. Very excited for the show.
Me too.
That's going to be a blast. I love what they did with the artisticness of the first season and stuff like that too.
I don't know if it's going to be a blast I don't know if it's going to be a blast for the people who have not played the second game. It's going to be
yeah.
But
because my wife, like she'll if I can get her to play video games, she will to burn some time. Usually like a Mario Party or something.
Yeah.
But like I was trying to get her to watch the first season of this. She was like, "Oh, it's that video game shit." What? That's for you. You like what you like. And I was like, "No. Watch this." And now she's like, "When is season 2 coming out?" And I'm like, I want to tell you so many things because I know you haven't played the game, but it's gonna get weird.
Oh no!
No, it's right.
Be there for her,
You have to hold her hand through this, man, because it's gonna get a little rocky. So no spoilers, because there's probably people out here that are like,
no spoilers. No. But everybody has seen the first season, and it was really sad. So it's obvious that the second one is going to be another season.
No, that's awesome. Like I said, we love to get to know like people, show the human side of everybody, because on stage you're larger than life, but then when get down to it, like I said, I'm the same way. I like to play video games and hang out with my dog, go to the gym, do normal shit, nothing different. But to go back to the music for a little bit while we still have some time with you today. First of all, you guys have seen really good success online, like lots of plays, lots of love, and I'm sure plenty of that is from being supported in your hometown. In your home area, which always feels good. That's kind of like the first benchmark of once I have them on my side, then I can go and start moving myself out. And then whenever I come back, I know that we have success. When you've been playing, I guess, I don't want any negative stories, but I was saying, do you have anything that's because obviously you've had so much support and a good system around you. Do you have any favorite stories from shows that you've played so far already? Like memorable moments?
Well, I think every show is a memorable show. I think personally, I never take granted for the amount of love we get each live show. So it's every show is great show, and every time I get to talk with the fans and people who have come to see us and support us, it's really meaningful to me. But I have to say, last year's in Finland we have this biggest metal festival called Tuska, and we had a slot there last summer, and I think that's one of the most memorable shows because we had like indoor stage, and there was 150 meters worth of line outside because like all the people couldn't fit inside the area we were playing. So that was like mental. It was super hot, and people were like crazy. they were mosh pitting and everything, and I was dying because it was so hot and sweaty, and I was just in awe of the people because they stayed and were crazy the whole time. And then there was this huge line of people who wanted to see us, and it's like sad they couldn't, but it was still like it felt insane for me. So that's one of the highlights for me.
No, that's really cool. I think that's kind of like that's been a story for a lot of folks, like people from the largest to the smallest bands we've had on here. The first thing that when people like I ask them, like, memories, like the first time I went after loading in and went to the front of the club and there's a line out the front of the for me, like it feels really good. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I know that Europe is known for their metal festivals, and that's something that like I really like. I've traveled a decent amount, but like I said, I've never actually been to Europe myself. So that's like really one of the first things on the list for me, besides doing the stuff, museums and architecture and coffee shops. But I really want to go see a metal festival, and I think that like because my wife is actually like her dad's from Norway, so like right down the road. So we've made some plans to want to go see family up in Scandinavia in general and go up and down the coast, and they're all fishermen, so that'd be really fun. But I really don't have a question. I'm just saying, I think the first thing I really want to do is go see a metal festival when I'm out there. I might try and plan the trip around it secretly. Do you have any favorite festivals every year out there besides the one you mentioned, maybe?
Yeah. In Finland, we have lots of big festivals, like everywhere in Finland. And in Europe, we have like all summer's worth different sort of big metal festivals. Like you said, they're insane. We have like Wacken and Hellfest and download festivals and everything. There's a lot to choose from.
I'll definitely have to make these. I'm typing these down. I'm writing them as best I can now.
Yeah, we can put you a list.
Shit, if I come all the way there, I'm gonna reach out. No. You remember 2 years ago I did a podcast with you. Help me.
No, but I will help you.
That'd be awesome. And obviously, I'm sure that it's money, time, effort, and planning, but you got to get your way out here to the US, to the States, do a North American tour one time. I'm sure that's on your guys' list with things that have success as they go forward. So to go back to the music. Oh, my dog's losing her mind upstairs because the mailman is up here. Oh, well, that's fine. She'll be fine. To go back to the music a little bit before I have to let you go, unfortunately, for just timing's sake with PR. Like I said, first of all, big fan. You got a new fan with me from when we first got the offer a couple months ago. I really enjoy the aesthetics and the side that it shows, like we've said a couple of times to reiterate, but to talk a little bit more about like the music itself, as opposed to just asking you questions about the lyrics and picking your brain. How long has it taken to put some of these songs together, and how long have these been in the works?
Well, all of these songs are from like maybe 2-year period or to like 1.5 years. It doesn't take so long for us to put the songs together. We have like time. It has taken a lot of time to record them and get them on the album and everything, like get them arranged and that sort of stuff. But usually it doesn't get take so much of our time. We are actually really fast workers.
That's good.
It's we have this system that if there is something to the song, if we feel that like when we are making riffs or like melodies for the chorus or something, and if there's something that really like appeals to us, we are really fast with it and we're going to finish the song. But if the song just feels like it doesn't have that like X factor, if it makes sense, then we're just not going to do it, because we have in the past tried to endlessly work on songs because we have just tried to make them work, and now we have the system. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If we don't like vibe the song, it's not gonna be our song. So that's why we're probably super fast with the songwriting.
That's a good thing, I think, because if it takes a strong person and a strong team to invest time into something and say, nah, this ain't it. Like it's a smart route to go down, I would say.
Yeah, I think so too, because it's only gonna take all your like mental health space if you're gonna bang your head up against the wall with like one song.
They tell you that things that are difficult are usually worth doing, but
yeah.
I don't. Sometimes like I said, you're just slamming your head trying to figure out what is this missing, and then hey, maybe in 2 years or something, you're like, oh shit, I forgot about that demo. Let's listen to it, and then maybe it'll spark something. Then you never know.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that like making music should be fun, and it should be therapeutic. And if it makes you feel like shit, you don't do it.
Hey, words to live by. Straight up, though. Like I said, life is too short to be really frustrated about some shit if you don't have to be. It's not worth it. Well, before I have to let you go, is there? We'll do the proper housekeeping and let everybody know where to find you. But off the top, is there any final message that you would really like the listeners to say? And then we can do all the plugs as well. Is there anything on the top of your mind? One thing you have to say?
Well, on the top of my head, I'm really just grateful for everybody who has listened to our music and who has liked our music, and I'm so glad that you liked the album. You have heard it already. We really put our hearts and minds and everything into the record, and we're so proud of it ourselves. So it's so nice to hear that people have enjoyed it, and I hope that people will enjoy it once it comes out. So.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, we're based in a town called Omaha that's like right in the middle of the US, and you've got a few new fans here. My wife loves it because she thinks that you're awesome, and she thinks that like your voice is great, including the screaming, and she's coming to all my metal shows. She puts up with me, like I said. So it's but you've made a couple new fans out here for sure just from doing this. So that's what it's all about. But first of all, guys, you can find them very simply by searching Lunakills. It's very easy to find, very unique. So their Instagram page is a good follow. Please go like and share. Do all the stuff that you do for us. Do that for them as well. That's how they get out there. It's how they find people like us to talk to. So if you could, please go do that. They already have a few songs as of recording now that you can go run up. And they're all put out as singles. So find a couple that you like. Put them all on play. And then in April, look out for the whole album, tentatively called, I believe it's Deathmatch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
That whole album will be out for everybody in April. And my Euro listeners, please go catch them somewhere because they're not to be missed as far as I'm aware. So Lotta, thank you again so much for coming on the show today and giving me your time. I really appreciate you. And you did great. That was awesome. I hope you feel better.
Thank you so much for having me. And I hope I did well.
Just fine. You did awesome. Well, again, thank you guys for listening. This is Metal Massacre, and we'll be back doing the math. Yeah, we'll be back next week, actually, with another episode, another interview for you. So stick around. We love you. Goodbye.
Bye.